Hello, my beautiful, wonderful friends of the internet. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Amanda, and I like to teach people how to cook without recipes. And tonight I'm really excited about what I'm about to create. I saw a couple weeks ago something on Pinterest. It was called chicken meatball and orzo soup. And I was like, oh, that sounds fascinating. And it just kind of like has been in the back of my mind. So tonight we're gonna create a chicken meatball dish, chicken meatball soup, and with orzo pasta, and see how it turns out. So join me in the kitchen and we will get started. All right, so we're gonna keep the meatballs fairly simple. I already have my oven preheating to 425. I'm using convection roast because I just have that option, but you know, just a regular bake will probably be, or will work fine too. Ovens worked with the bake feature without the convection and all these fancy things, you know, for many years. So, trying to figure out. Okay, so I've got a big bowl. I've got some ground chicken. I quickly made some breadcrumbs in the Magic Bullet. And I will link an affiliate link to Amazon down below. Magic Bullets are so awesome for making breadcrumbs and smoothies, and I use my Magic Bullet all the time. I don't keep much out on my counter, but my Magic Bullet lives there. All right, so this is actually crackers. You know, every time we go to the store, we take our big box of crackers and we dump it into a glass container. And you know, at the end, you get like cracker crumbs. Well, I saved all those cracker crumbs and then turned them into cracker breadcrumbs. But regular panko breadcrumbs or any breadcrumbs, or taking a loaf of bread and processing it, not a loaf, but you know, a couple pieces, all of that will work too. The important thing is to use ingredients that you've got on hand. I used crackers because that's what I had. All right, so I'm gonna dump this chicken in this bowl. Dang it, I didn't want to touch the chicken, but there was paper on it. So let me wash my hands real quick. Okay, ooh, smell the gas from the oven. All right, I'm gonna sprinkle in some of these breadcrumbs. Or cracker crumbs. I have more than I need here. So I'll save those for later. Salt, pepper. I probably wouldn't actually save them, except I know later in the week I'm going to make my mozzarella chicken that I've got linked up here. Again, because it's my husband's, like, one of his favorite meals. Okay, so this is dill, D-I-L-L. So in that mozzarella chicken, I used breadcrumbs, but since I have cracker crumbs this time, I use cracker crumbs. So dill and chicken noodle soup just go hand in hand. So definitely want a lot of dill. And this is onion powder. And you're gonna always use more seasoning than you think you need. I think people tend to under-season more than over-season. So don't be shy on these seasonings, because it's not like we can taste this because it's raw chicken meat. So, you know, be generous. All right, so before I actually start incorporating the seasonings in, I'm gonna get my cookie sheet, which I had pulled out, and I'm going to put a piece of foil on top. So like I said, I don't really cook with recipes, and I remember seeing this somewhere on Pinterest. I didn't actually look at the lady's recipe. I'm sure it is fabulous. Hey guys, editing Amanda here. I was actually going to link the Pinterest recipe from the blog that I first saw this meatball recipe from. But when I went back on Pinterest and typed in chicken meatball orzo soup, there's a lot of versions of this soup, and I never actually went to that blog, so I don't really know which one I saw originally. But this is my version. I would link an actual recipe. If you do want something that has more step by step, then, you know, search Pinterest. You'll find a lot of different versions. But again, I hope you enjoy the way that I cook it and the reasons why behind I chose to cook it the way that I did. But I was debating whether or not I wanted to cook the meatballs in the oven or if I wanted to just put them into like a roiling soup. And I decided to go ahead, I'm gonna grab a scooper thing. I decided to put them in the oven because I think they'll be less likely to break up that way. I think if I brought the soup broth up to a roiling bubble or simmer even, and then I tried to cook them in the liquid, which is definitely a way to go. It would cook the meatballs, but I'm worried that they would break up a little bit more, and I don't want, I want my meatballs to stay together. So I think if I cook them in the oven and then just drop them down gently into the cooked soup as kind of a last ingredient, and then to like finish cooking all the way through, if I don't cook them all the way in the oven, then that will be kind of a guarantee that they won't fall apart as much. All right, so I don't want to overmix because anytime you overmix meat, it will actually become tough. It's kind of weird. And I've got this like little scooper. So I'm going to, and that'll just help me keep my meatballs all the same size. So, well, dang it. I forgot to spray this. All right, we definitely want to spray it because it's chicken and it will stick. So I'm going to wash my hands real quick and we'll spray this down. All right, so this is just an olive oil spray. Oh no, it's empty. Why did someone, probably me, put an empty one in the pantry? Let's see, I think I got another one. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna use an avocado spray. No, I'm just kidding. I had olive oil, but that one's empty, so we're gonna go with this avocado spray instead. Man, it's almost empty too. Okay, now we will put these down. So I'm just using this, I think it's a cookie scoop, just so that they are consistent in size. You know, you can just pinch them and you don't have to use a scoop, but it just kind of helps because if they're all the same size, they'll cook more evenly. I swear, every time I start filming, my nose itches, but trying not to be gross on camera. Oh my goodness. I'm having so much fun making these videos. You know, I've had people say that they've enjoyed watching them, so I hope you're enjoying watching this video and, you know, some of my other videos. I'm learning as I go. I'm really enjoying the editing, which I'm actually really surprised about because I knew nothing, like literally nothing about video editing. And as you can probably tell, this is not like a high value production. I'm learning. But way back when I was a graphic artist, like 13, 15 years ago, I was a graphic artist. I did logo design, that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty rusty because the past 13 years have been very busy raising identical twin girls and homeschooling them. So I haven't been doing as much graphic work, but video editing is like moving graphics in a way, in a lot of cases. So it's bringing back some of that fun part of my brain that I haven't used in a while. So I'm really enjoying adding silly elements like this or like this whenever it kind of seems like it fits into the video. And I'm enjoying, like, I think in my last video, the barbecue chicken, I popped up a picture of my kids on their way out to Taekwondo, which is where they are right now, you know, I mean, just that's how dinner schedules work. They have Taekwondo right when I'm usually trying to make dinner. Or like last night, I'm the one who took them and then I came home and made a quick dinner. So on the nights, John and I take turns taking the kids to the class, and on the nights that, they go 5 times a week most weeks. On the nights when it's my turn, I either prep up earlier in the day, or we do a leftover night, or it's like a really fast night, like that barbecue chicken night. So yeah, they are Donbo. So at that studio, at their studio, that means they are black belt candidates. I'm so proud of them. They're 7th graders. We've been homeschooling their whole life. It is fun. If you've got any questions about homeschooling, pop them down below. Obviously, I'm pretty passionate about homeschooling too. Definitely passionate about cooking. I've been cooking since I was a teenager. So, 25 years experience, well round, you know. And I was a product of Food Network. Food Network came out in either 1993 or 1994. I don't remember. I looked it up the other day, but now I don't remember. But Alton Brown and Emeril Lagasse, they were my heroes. Okay, I think I can get 2 more out of this. And then that one's a little small, but it'll be okay. Here, this one's a little big, so we'll pinch it from that one and add it to that one. I gotta re-roll it. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands, we're gonna spray them, and then we'll get them in the oven. Okay. Oh, geez. That's just lovely. This is toast, toast. All right, I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and then I'm gonna clean up this mess and pull out the ingredients to get us started on our soup base, and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got a pretty small onion. I tried to get the smallest one out of the batch, a nice hefty carrot, and 2 really sad stalks of celery, which is perfect for a soup. So, you know, if your celery looks sad like this, don't despair. It's perfect for a soup. Okay, and then I also have some garlic. So I'm gonna crush up this garlic. I've got a garbage bowl, which was the chicken bowl from a while ago, but now I'm gonna use it just to put scraps in as I am chopping. So garlic is always such a pain in the butt. Okay, I'm going to get my pot over here started warming up. So I'm gonna turn it on to kind of a low temperature right now because I don't have anything in it. And actually I don't want to chop my garlic yet. I'm gonna chop my onion first. All right, I'm gonna chop the onion first because the order in which we put ingredients into a dish can be very important. If I put, dang it, whoa, there we go. Didn't have the flame caught. If we put the garlic in first, it would have a tendency to burn. But if we put the onion in first, that will kind of protect the garlic a little bit. I mean, as long as we watch the temperature, because garlic will tend to burn if you have it up too high. All right, I'm gonna give this a rough chop. Now, the only thing you wanna keep in mind is how big of an onion bite would you like on your soup spoon? Because whatever size you chop your onion here is the size, you know, it'll shrink a little bit as it's cooking, but not much. And that's what size you will have on your soup spoon. So if you don't want like a big old, like I wouldn't want, you know, something that big on my spoon as I'm eating. And that's also why I made pretty small meatballs too, because in a soup, you're going to be using a spoon and you don't want to have to try to cut your meatball in half, you know, as you're eating a soup. So, oh, and I didn't say, I'm going to check on them in about 20 minutes. So, all right, so I've got my onion chopped and I'm going to put some, actually, let's go ahead and start with some butter. Butter. So, oh my goodness. So olive oil, butter, coconut oil. We just need a fat to start cooking. Oh, my spoon. I like to cook with wooden spoons when I'm doing my cooking. Mostly that's a sound thing. I don't like the sound of metal on metal. It's just too jarring for me. So that's why I personally cook with wooden spoons a lot. So I've got my onion in here and I'm just giving it a quick stir. I'll show you, you know, how things are looking in a minute after I get all the vegetables in. But what was I going to say about that? Oh, we don't want the temperature up so high that the onions start to caramelize. On this kind of recipe, I talk about this a lot anytime I'm cooking with onions. This kind of recipe, we just want soft, translucent onions for background flavor. We don't want them to add that caramel flavor like you would in a fajita or like a, I think I did my Greek bowls or something like that. So this, we just want them to cook softly. Oh my goodness, the microphone wire is rubbing on my belly and it tickles. I learned my microphone I love and hate. It definitely helps with the sound quality of the videos. My first couple, I don't. Okay, so I cut off the ends of the celery and now I slid my knife down so that way each piece of celery is smaller so I can have smaller bites. So yeah, my first couple videos without the mic, the sound quality was pretty bad. And I think it's improved with the mic, but that's caused its own issues where the mic's been disconnecting and things like that. So I tried to do an Instagram live a couple nights ago and my sound just disconnected and here I was talking and the ends of this celery are kind of bruised, so I'm going to throw them away. But go ahead and cook with the leafy part. It has a lot of flavor. Yeah, so I'm just talking and then luckily someone popped on in the middle of my live and was like, you don't have sound. And I'm like, oh God, I'm so embarrassed. But you know, what are you gonna do? Just gotta go with it. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'm dit.dot over on Instagram also. All right, now we're gonna cut off the end of my carrot. I've already given it a good scrub. I don't typically peel my carrots if I scrub them down very well, especially in a dish like this. I just find it's a waste of time. So no use in peeling them. Okay. So we're gonna chop this. Then we're gonna get our seasonings in and our orzo pasta. So orzo, if you're not familiar with orzo, is a very small pasta that looks like rice, but it's pasta. But again, if you don't have orzo, you could use another pasta shape that you like. I would pick something that's kind of small. There's one called ditalini, which I like because my last name's Ditlinger. And dit.dot, you know, haha. So ditalini is another small little pasta, or you can even take spaghetti noodles and just kind of break them up into little small pieces. So use what you got, or, you know, when you're shopping that week, if you know that's kind of like I had this idea in my head, so I made sure to buy orzo. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Like onions and butter. I mean, is there a better smell? Okay. onions and bacon fat. That will trump onions and butter, but just barely. Okay, so generous amount of salt again. And my pepper is over here. And we're going to, I like to layer my flavors. So I put fresh garlic and fresh onion, but if I go ahead and use powdered garlic and some powdered onion, it just, the powder will kind of get into the broth into a whole different level than the fresh will. And so you just get that like double punch. And then where did I put my dill? I just had it. Seriously. It was, oh, it's right here. There we go. Good, healthy serving of that. And another little secret ingredient, when I cook a chicken soup, I like to put a little bit turmeric. It gives a good flavor. It's gonna make the soup a little bit different color than a typical chicken noodle soup, but the background, I don't want much because turmeric's really strong, but just that kind of background, it's kind of like someone going, what is that? And it'll be your turmeric. So here's my spice drawer. I need to organize it a little bit better. And like, these are overflow that I need to fill in, but you know, I love having a spice jar. It's been pretty awesome. Oh, let me show you the, so right now I've just got, you know, the vegetables and a little bit of butter, and I'm gonna stir in these seasonings, and we're about to add some chicken broth. So we'll be right back. Okay, so all I did was go grab some orzo and some chicken broth. And here's the most difficult part of cooking without a recipe. That is just kind of guesswork. How much pasta you add to a dish like this, if you don't have a recipe that's got it pre-measured out for you, is really like, can be difficult. I would actually go with going like a little bit more than you think, because you can always add some broth to thin it out. But if you're at the end of your soup and you're like, man, I wish this had more pasta, you can't really cook up extra at that point. So one of these is already open. Yeah, this one. So this is almost a full jug. I used it for something else a couple nights ago. That's why I love these jugs that have these screw tops. Like, I must be dating myself here, but you know, chicken broth used to come in a can, and then you'd open it, and if you didn't use the whole thing, you'd have to put it in another jar. Oh, the complications. So, I like to buy, I'm pretty random about what I buy actually, but I really like the free range. Oh, my spoon went in there. Free range, or a lot of times I buy the bone broth one from this brand, Simply Truth Organic. It's a darker color. I like to do the low sodium when possible, because then I can control my own salt, and I like my salt. I buy a brand, it's called Real Salt. That's the name of the brand, and it's just a non-processed salt. Okay, so I'm actually trying to decide. I think I'm actually just going to add a little bit more water to this. I was thinking, do I want to add more chicken stock, but I'm going to just extend this stock by adding water. We've got so much flavor in here. We don't really need to add more chicken stock. Okay. And then the orzo. So this is the orzo. It's like I said, it looks like little pieces of rice, but it's actually a pasta. Just kind of a different fun take on a chicken noodle soup. Chicken meatballs, and instead of like egg noodles, which I think a lot of chicken soups have, we're doing this different shaped pasta. So all these seasonings are how I would season up a chicken noodle soup. Okay, I'm gonna dump in about half this box. These things kind of do expand a little bit, so we'll see. Y'all are cooking with me right here. So that's about half. I want it to be pretty thick of noodles. Like I want like every spoonful to be like, you know, a bunch of noodles. All right, my meatballs have been in almost 20 minutes. I think it's been like 18. So I'm gonna peek in on them really quick. I'll take you with me. All right, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, you see how they're starting to brown a little bit around the edges? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out and check on them a little bit closer. So let's do that. Push you back so you can see them if I set them there. Oh my gosh, they smell so good. Oh yeah, I think these are actually done. Let me get a fork. Yeah, they're like nice and brown on the bottom. Look at that. Ah, nice. So I'm actually just gonna leave these. I'm gonna turn off the oven. I'm kind of just rotating them because the cookie sheet's hot and they'll continue to cook on that side, and they're brown enough. I don't really want them to keep getting more brown. If you wanted them to be an even brown color, we probably should have taken them out about halfway through and flipped them, but I'm not really that particular. And I'm not gonna add these meatballs to the soup until the pasta is cooked through. And the reason is because if you put protein like chicken into boiling liquid, that will toughen the meat up. So, I'm going to let this pasta cook for, how long does it take? I didn't bring it up to a boil before I added the pasta, so it's gonna make it a little bit off, but it says about 9 minutes. So I'm gonna crank up my heat, so this will come up to a boil. I'm gonna cook the pasta for, you know, probably 5 minutes or so, and then I'll lower the heat, put the meatballs in, let it cook for a few more minutes, and we'll call it a night. Oh my gosh, I wish I had some sourdough bread to go with this. I wonder if I do. I might have some in the pantry. This is the funniest thing. It has been, like last week it was snowy and I had this on the menu. I never had time to make it. And then this whole last week has been dreary and rainy because I live in, you know, the Pacific Northwest. So that's like the weather up here. And then finally today I'm like, okay, I have time to make this soup. And it's beautiful and sunny and it really doesn't feel like soup weather, but it'll be good. All right, well, I'll be back once this pasta's done. All right, so the pasta has now had time to cook all the way through. It looks really plumped up. It's got that kind of golden color from the turmeric I told you about. And the starches from some of the pasta have kind of like gone out into the broth, so it's a little bit thicker than it was, you know, when we first poured in the broth, and it's looking really good. If you wanted to make it a creamy soup, you could add a splash of milk or cream here too. All right, I'm going to carefully drop my chicken balls. So now I turned the soup down to low, so it's still simmering, but again, I don't want to just like full on boil. These chicken meatballs are already cooked through. We're just now kind of letting the chicken flavor, and like they'll absorb some of the broth, and the soup will get some of the flavor of this chicken. And I'm just gonna let it kind of simmer for a couple minutes actually, and just turn it off and then let it kind of sit until we're ready to eat. The kids just came home from Taekwondo. One of my girls jumped in the shower. So it's not quite dinner time yet, but this can just kind of sit and wait for us to be ready. So here, let me show you what it looks like. It's really exciting. So got the steam is making it not clear, but you got the carrots floating up and your noodles and all those yummy meatballs. So I would say that this ended up being a success. We'll have to see how the family likes it. It's just really fun to kind of work with what you have, or knowledge that you have about, like, I know how to make a chicken noodle soup and the flavors from it, and kind of incorporate and make something new. I just want to say thank you so much for watching today, and if you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I really appreciate that support, and I will show you a plated up bowl at the end like I usually do, and otherwise I will see you next time. Bye.